Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome everybody to the Black Brain Trust. I apologize for Wednesday. I was not able to do the show, um, but we're here today, Friday, for Economics Friday. Today is August 31st, the end of August. Today we have a good show for you all today. I'm one of your co-hosts, Lionel. I'm here with Mike. How you doing today, Mike?
Good brother yourself.
Well, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for asking. And also we have Yada. How you doing today, Yada?
I'm doing fine.
That's good. All right, all right. So, with that said, we are going to go ahead and jump into the show. Share my screen. All right. Our first topic for tonight comes from CoinDesk.com. Title: SEC rejects 9 Bitcoin ETF proposals. Written by Nikalesh Destan Higgins and Muyao Shen. August 24th. Article: The Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, has issued rejections to Bitcoin exchange traded funds, or ETFs, proposals from ProShares, Direction, and Granite Shares. In three orders published on August 22nd, the rejections came ahead of previously reported deadlines arising from the SEC's public facing approval process. Notably, the agency used the exact same reasoning and wording in all of its rejections. The agency wrote in the case of ProShares, quote, the commission is disapproving this proposed rule change because, as discussed below, the exchange has not met its burden under the Exchange Act and the commission's rules of practice to demonstrate that its proposal is consistent with the requirements of the Exchange Act section 6 subset B5, in particular the requirement that a national security exchange rules be designed to prevent fraudulent and manipulative acts and practices. End quote. And in the case of the Directions 5 proposed ETFs, wow, 5, quote, they say, the Commission is disapproving this proposed rule change because, as discussed below, the I think this is the exact same thing for the pro shares now that I'll see it. I'm going to end quote there. In all instances, the SEC stressed that it emphasizes that its disapproval does not rest on an evaluation of whether Bitcoin or blockchain technology more generally has utility or value as an innovation or an investment. The rejections come mere weeks after SEC commissioners completed a review on a proposed Bitcoin ETF from investors Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, whose multi-year effort was dashed after a majority of the SEC's commissions backed up the agency's original March 2017 decision. One commissioner, Hester Pierce, dissented that the decision, later telling CoinDesk in an interview that the move to block a Bitcoin ETF is a disservice to both investors and innovators. Past issues cited. For those who have read disapproval orders for Bitcoin ETFs in the past, the language likely calls to mind the justifications used to twice strike down a proposal from investors Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss for their proposed Bitcoin ETF. Yet, for the three companies named today, the proposals were unique in that they were tied to the market for Bitcoin futures rather than a fund that holds Bitcoin directly. Notably, the SEC cited a letter from one of the current markets for Bitcoin futures in the US and CBOE. Quote, additionally, the president and COO of CFE recently acknowledged in a letter to the commission staff that the current Bitcoin futures trading volumes on the CBOE Futures Exchange and CME may not currently be sufficient to support ETPs seeking 100% long or short exposure to Bitcoin, the agency wrote. At the same time, the SEC did concede a notable point that investors would gain an extra layer of protection by trading exchange-based products for Bitcoin, while also contending that possible benefits should be held against other considerations. The Commission acknowledges that compared to trading in unregulated Bitcoin spot markets, trading a Bitcoin based ETP on a national securities exchange may provide some additional protection to investors. But the Commission must consider this potential benefit in the broader context of whether the proposal meets each of the applicable requirements of the Exchange Act, officials argued in a ProShares rejection. All right. Two things I want to mention. I've been looking at a couple of pundits that I follow on YouTube concerning this SEC rejection of the 9 Bitcoin ETFs. And per their opinion, I'm going to stress the word opinion, that they think that the A, that the SEC is doing this because they don't really have an excuse. The reason they say this is because they keep writing the same reasons why they're disapproving this. And since they've been doing this for a while, they can't continue to do this for too long and write the same reasons why they're disapproving this. But those are their opinions. And I know Dollar Will has said previously that, maybe that some other big money has already have an agreement with the SEC on Bitcoin ETF. They're just waiting for the right time to release it. But also in this article, it said that um, uh, that according to the CBOE and CME, that it's not enough trade volume in Bitcoin for them to justify approving a Bitcoin ETF. Because since it's not a lot of trade volume, then it means the prices can be easily manipulated. But those are the 2 points I want to point out as I read this article. Any other points?
They're trying to avoid monopolization of the cryptos. So if they can slow it down as much as possible, it buys time for everybody else to catch up in terms of the ETFs. Because the ETFs were the really only method of transfer for getting into the market or the exchange market in itself. And I think this is where the SEC comes in and says, "Oh, wait a second, we're not really ready for all that just yet."
Mm-hmm.
So to avoid, so it's
Go ahead.
just to avoid monopolization of the ETF itself. But what it sounds like to me is that they were okay with other products being exchanged for Bitcoin, but at the same time, what else are you going to exchange for Bitcoin?
There's nothing else you can change for Bitcoin right now. There's no stable coins, really no fiat tether coins out there. Bitcoin is the universal crypto.
Right, with the other products that from the market, right? So what kind of ETFs, what kind of other exchange markets on the stock market are going to be used to trade from a commodity standpoint? I mean, you're not going to trade gold for Bitcoin. That just doesn't make any sense. So it just sounds to me like the SEC is making it difficult for anybody to actually get involved in crypto ETFs.
Yeah, this and I've been hearing again, like I said, these are people's opinions that they think that a Bitcoin ETF approval may be approved sometime in December, late December, not December, September, sometime this September, late September. I don't know specifically why they think this. Maybe because a lot of people in the industry, a lot of well-known people that are in crypto say, well, around this time, the market may go be on a bull run again. But again, this is what people are saying. They don't really have any solid backing. So yeah. All right. Any other points on that one?
No good.
All right. Let's get to our next article. This one comes from YouTube. YouTube video. The name of the video is Nicolas Maduro. To all Venezuelans, gold is a safe investment. All right, this is kind of contradictory because for the last couple months, as you see someone with Oh, this is him. He has gold. For the last couple months, I've been hearing, well, we all been hearing that cryptocurrency is starting to be a form of payment and exchange in Venezuela. And there's going to be more and more mining operations to mine cryptocurrency. Also, a couple of months ago, President Maduro revealed the petro uh, tied to oil, the cryptocurrency petro tied to oil. This maybe it was in May, April, May timeframe. And throughout these, since then, even before then, and since then, we've been hearing about this cryptocurrency. This Venezuelan cryptocurrency is going to be tied to the country's oil reserves and so forth and so forth. Now, in this video, he's saying to all Venezuelans, gold is a safe investment. Why?
Well, because the Venezuelan dollar is almost gone. So the currency is not the fluctuation in currency has made the currency spiral out of control from a valuation standpoint. Whereas gold, that the price of gold is not going to change anytime soon. At least not in the volatility that the currency has plummeted to, right? So it has dropped, I think, almost damn near 100%. It's not
Mm-hmm.
really worth anything. So that what's happening in Venezuela is people are using the currency to buy goods, your basic commodities such as milk and eggs and other necessary goods, and they're taking it out into Colombia and they're selling it on the market for U.S. dollars in exchange to avoid capital flight controls that the Venezuelan government has in place. So what Maduro is saying is it's okay to actually invest into gold to protect your assets
Mm-hmm.
as a hedge.
Okay, okay, as a hedge. Now, but they're still doing the Venezuelan petro crypto.
Yes, that's separate. So the petro is used to get around the sanctions that the United States has on Venezuela because if the money that is being sanctioned is being stopped in Wall Street and in London and in Brussels, then what happens is you need an alternative an alternative transfer system, which is where cryptocurrency comes in because it can be done point to point,
Mm-hmm.
node to node.
Mm-hmm.
One
Mm-hmm.
one master node inside Venezuela, one master node inside Russia, one master node inside uh what do you call it? Beijing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So okay. So he's just telling the Venezuelans it's okay to invest in gold, physical gold that is, not the price point gold, physical gold as a hedge against the devaluation of the Venezuelan fiat currency.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds good. And because when we heard that they were doing the crypto, of course we were all on it because that's another score for crypto being adopted into the mainstream. We were all for it, and especially he said that it's going to be tied to the country's oil supply. Hey, that's good because, like you've expressed and we've shared on this channel that Venezuela's oil reserves, they have a good portion of the world's entire oil reserves. So now they're gonna tie that to crypto. That sounds good with me just to get past the sanctions the United States put on it. Now he's saying this, and I understand. Hey, I'm with it because gold is a good hedge against in this situation against that runaway inflation or deflation, devaluation of their money. So I I get what he's saying. He is trying. He is trying. All right. Let's get to our next article. This one comes from ccn.com, titled Bitcoin accepted every everywhere here. Square wins patent for cryptocurrency payment network. Again, another score for adoption, which good things coming ahead. Good things coming ahead. All right, article. Digital payments firm Square has won a patent for a payment network that allows merchants to accept payments in any currency, including Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency. Square wins patent for a crypto payment network. Public documents published on August 21st shows that the U.S. Patent and Trade Office, or USPTO, has approved Square's application to patent a system that allows merchants to accept cryptocurrencies alongside conventional payment methods and cash out in their currency of choice. Wow. The San Francisco based firm first filed the patent in September 2017. From the patent, quote, the disclosed technology addresses the need and the art for a payment service capable for accepting a greater diversity of currencies, including virtual currencies, including cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ether, etc., than a traditional payment system in a transaction between a customer and a merchant, and specifically for a payment service to solve or ameliorate problems germane to transactions with such currencies. Specifically, the payment service described herein can facilitate real time or substantially real time transactions, allowing the customer to pay in any currency of their choice, while the merchant can receive payment in a currency of their choice. End quote. Square would not be the first payment processor to follow merchants to accept payments in a cryptocurrency that are automatically converted into local currency. BitPay, for instance, has been processing Bitcoin payments since 2011. However, Square already has tremendous market penetration, so adding cryptocurrency payments to its present proof of POS system would allow millions of merchants to accept Bitcoin without having to onboard to another payment processor or manually convert cryptocurrency funds into fiat, eliminating Bitcoin transaction latency. Notably, the patent also details a process that allows the POS system eliminate latency in cryptocurrency transactions, ensuring that even Bitcoin transactions, often criticized for their slower confirmation times, can be approved at roughly the same speed as a credit card transaction. The payment service will accomplish this by maintaining a private blockchain that records transactions from Square managed wallets in real time, allowing the POS system to identify the change balances before the transactions are written to the public blockchain. According to the patent, this does not completely eliminate the risk of double spend attacks, but it transfers that risk from the merchant to the payment service. The patent also notes that transaction latency could be eliminated by having user funds custodied by the payment network itself, allowing Square to simply update its internal ledger rather than routing any transactions to the blockchain. Is Square preparing to roll out Bitcoin payments? Of course, there is no guarantee that Square will actually implement this patent cryptocurrency payment network into its POS service. Bank of America, for instance, has applied for dozens of blockchain payments, which a former VP who ultimately left the bank to found a cryptocurrency startup said are meaningless public relation plays. However, Square, unlike many firms that have toyed with blockchain research, is run by a vocal cryptocurrency proponent. As CCN reported, Square CEO Jack Dorsey is on record stating that he believes Bitcoin could be the internet's native currency within a decade. The internet deserves a native currency. It will have a native currency. I don't know if it will be Bitcoin or not, he said during an interview in May. I hope it will be Bitcoin. Dorsey also said in a recent earnings call that Square's interest in blockchain extends beyond just buying and selling, noting that the firm sees cryptocurrency as a transformational technology. However, the patent itself includes reference drawings that appear to show Bitcoin payments being executed through the Square's peer-to-peer Cash App. Wow. Through which the firm began offering Bitcoin trading in late 2017 in early 2018. Trading volumes on the app have thus been minor compared to the global spot market. But Square CFO Sarah Fryer said recently that the company has seen real growth in its Bitcoin user base. All right, that's the article. This is good. Again, like I said before I started reading the article, score another one for the adoption of cryptocurrency steadily, like the tortoise, but it'll get there. They mentioned BitPay. I've stumbled upon BitPay a couple of weeks ago, and what BitPay is, excuse me, what BitPay is, it is what they do is they offer you a way to spend your Bitcoin. What you do is download the wallet. One way is to download the wallet on your computer, transfer Bitcoin to the wallet, then whatever is used, whatever is stored on that card, because it's a secured credit card, whatever you put on it is what you spend. It's not actually a credit card. It does have a Visa logo on it. That's what BitPay is. Now with Square, it seems like what they're doing is the same thing. You spend whatever Bitcoin you have in your possession. There's no type of credit or anything. I like this. I like this a lot. You got a comment on this?
Absolutely. This is mega because Square is used in all bodegas, if not the majority of the bodegas in low income areas. So even your food trucks, um, small bike shops, everybody's using Square in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Even barbers and beauticians are starting to use Square now on their phones.
Hmm.
So there are there are a myriad of areas that this can be exploited within the lower tier micro markets on the ground in some of these low income areas that I mentioned. And keep in mind that Mastercard also applied for a similar patent. I believe a month or so ago we had reported about this on the Economics Hangout that they also applied for a patent on using cryptocurrencies with the Mastercard network and they have a global network
Right.
that's close to something like 1.2 to maybe 2 billion users. So they have all these cards out in circulation that could actually be tapped into to the big to the crypto market in the same way that Square is actually looking at exploiting it. So this is actually huge news. And keep in mind that Jack Dorsey, who is the CEO of Square, is also the CEO of Twitter.
Hmm.
So you may see a synergy between people doing Twitter payments via cryptos on Twitter, but via tweets. So back that up with the Square pay, the Square patents that are going into place. Something big is about to happen.
I agree. I like this. Like I said, adoption.
And looking
Adoption.
at the right, and looking at the stock ticker for Square, it sounds to me like this is a big play for them.
Now, it wouldn't be something you can transfer your Bitcoin to Square, and from Square. No, they will have to do. I was going to say it's from Square buy Square stock, but they will have to implement something else to their system in order for you to do that. Okay, but yeah.
Or they have a private blockchain in place, according to the article.
Hmm. And I understand where they're going with their private blockchain, and they also mentioned the Cash App, and I know a lot of people that are using the Cash App. So with Square and the Cash App, you're able to spend Bitcoin through that. Between those two, that's a good portion of people that's using that type of technology to make and receive payments. Hmm. I like this, Mike. I like this adoption. In 2019, we'll see what's going on with late Q4 2018 and all of 2019. All right, this new one. Next article comes from newsbtc.com. Is another crypto market correction the sign of more declines? Markets are correcting. IOTA, Tron, Dash, and Nano dropping fast. Dogecoin bouncing back. All right. Following 3 days of upwards momentum, a slight crypto market pullback has predictably occurred. Total market capitalization has dropped back below 230 billion as altcoins fail to hold the recent gains. Bitcoin has just dipped back below 7K, which could be an ominous sign. Falling just 1.3% on the day, BTC is currently trading at $6,985. It dumped almost $150 in just a couple of hours yesterday and has failed to really recover from that. Likewise with Ethereum, which is down again, 3.8% at the moment, back to $280. The altcoins are pretty much all in the red as market correct after recent gains. In the top 10, IOTA, which has performed well in previous days, is jumping hard with a 13% dip today, back to 67 cents. The rest have fallen between 3 and 4% on the day. Larger losses can be seen in the top 20, with Tron and Dash dropping over 8% in 24 hours to 2 cent and $182 respectively. Neo, NIM, and VChain are also falling back to 5 and 6%, wiping out previous gains, and the rest are losing 2 to 4%. Dogecoin is the only altcoin in the top 40 showing a gain. It has pumped 23% on the day to trade at 3 cent or 3/10 of a cent, or 44 Satoshis. The Reddit charter is just populated by doggy pictures and moon cartoons. However, developers are working a smart contract bridge that will facilitate the transfer of Dogecoin to and from the Ethereum blockchain and have imaginatively called Doge Dogethereum. Yesterday's pump Noah yesterday's pump Noah coin has made another 38% on the day, and Decentraland is also defying the drop with a 9% gain. Nano is taking the biggest hit at the moment with a 15% dump to $2.61. Ontology and Chainlink are both dropping over 9% on the day as the downside accelerates. Total crypto market capitalization has dumped almost 6 billion and is down to 2.5% to 225 billion once again. Trade volume has remained stable at 13 billion and Bitcoin's dominance is at 53.4%. Over the week, markets have made 8% as they were below 210 billion this same time. Thursday, excuse me, let me read that again. I apologize, people. Over the last week, markets have made 8% as they were below 210 billion this time last Thursday. The monthly view, however, is still grim with a 24% decline, keeping the downtrend intact. If Bitcoin cannot hold support further, losses across the board look very likely, but technical indicators are still showing it is bullish. All right. The market has been red lately. CFR local. Okay, he's not here. The market has been red lately. I think I've seen the market get down to 190 billion, 100 between 190 and 195 billion. The other day, I think it was Monday, I mentioned that the market was shooting up. The market shot up to about um, 230 billion. Right now, I believe the market is about 223 billion. The market has been red. It's been seeing red for the longest. See the coin market cap. Right now, the market is at 228 billion. Bitcoin dominance is at 53.1%. Bitcoin is at 7,046 cents. Ethereum $284. XRP 33 cents, and Bitcoin Cash $543. And rounding out the top five is EOS at 6,046 cents. Right now, the market is looking pretty greenish right now with a few red spots in between. But per that article I just read, which the article was written on August 30th, which is yesterday, I did look at the market yesterday and the market was pretty red. But to be honest, that's the trend. Every 2 or so days, the market is green, and within 24 hours later, it's pretty red. So if you are a trader, a technical analyst, and you're a trader, this is you. This is your paradise. This is your paradise. Anything you want to say about this one, Mike?
Not really. I mean, other than the fact that there's so much volatility in the market, it's kind of hard to gauge where everything is going to fall. Dollar Will predicted that something was going to happen by Labor Day, so we're getting close to that day. So it sounds to me like he was right on point.
Yeah, Labor Day is what, Monday, right?
Correct.
Hmm. I wonder what's going to happen because it's so many, so much news that's supposed to be going. So many things supposed to be going on. So much news is supposed to be uh, settled on, such as these Bitcoin ETFs, these other top coins making announcements. With that going on, the markets fluctuate up and down. It seems to me that we're starting to get in. I'm gonna use some TA lingo here. That we're starting to get into a channel, and that channel is getting smaller and smaller with everything that's going on. This is something's gonna have to give. All right. Man, while we moving right along, this is another good show. Any other comments?
Not for me.
All right. Let's get to the other item on the docket. All right, this one comes from cryptobriefly.com. Title: SEC investment plan, a blueprint for crypto investments. I like this. All right, I thought I could see some. Um, just FYI, I think a couple of times we've been talking about how with the influx of Bitcoin, such as ETFs, ETNs, and into investment vehicles that our grandparents or parents are going to have Bitcoin in their investment portfolio as a retirement in their retirement portfolio. So that's a that's a wow. All right, SEC plan to help investors buy stakes in private companies could be crypto's entry point. Written by Nick Hall on August 30th. Article: The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has revealed daring plans for investment in private companies with the potential to open the doors to Main Street in a way that could prove more inclusive to mom and pop investors than any regulation in years. Read between the lines, though, and it could also be the basis of a philosophical approach to cryptocurrency regulation. The SEC is considering revolutionizing the rules so that small investors are no longer sidelined. SEC Chief Jay Clayton said that the ideas were aimed to helping retail investors who want to take a small stake in a company. Can crypto follow this path? Clayton wants to give access to the private markets and better deals without sacrificing investors' protections. His focus may be on the business world, but this is a blueprint that crypto can use as well. Quote: The private markets are awash in capital these days, he told the Wall Street Journal. The question is, who is participating? End quote. Apart from the significant hurdle of regulation, there is little difference between this kind of private investment in the business world and the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So, if the SEC clears a path for private investment in big and small businesses, it will also indicate a preference for a regulated cryptocurrency market. A concept release white paper will outline the plan, and from there, the SEC will listen to the advice of the public and big business. Clayton continued, quote, It came from doing the job and recognizing that for retail investors, the opportunity set beyond the public market is pretty low, pretty costly, and pretty risky. But people want that, end quote. Big names we can't invest in. In the traditional business world, where the SEC is actually looking. The likes of Uber, SpaceX, and Airbnb are off limits to most retail investors right now. That's because the regulations require a public listing. There are big money, exciting companies, and excuse me, these are big money, exciting companies, and they are simply out of bounds for the private investor. Current rules allow wealthier, accredited investors to participate in security offerings, but the bar is high and the paperwork can be onerous. More than 448 billion was raised by private companies in 2017, according to a recent McKinsey study, where 91% of participants claimed that the returns on private investments were better than those of the publicly listed companies. The number of publicly traded companies is falling too, and public interest in the stock exchange is flagging as millennials look to the fast moving crypto markets. The SEC is clearly looking for ways to breathe life into the economy if it can clear the way with one set of regulations, then it's taking out two birds with one stone. A new method of funding. Clayton is widely seen as business and investor friendly, and his latest suggestion could give companies the freedom to raise funds without having to go through a public listing. That's possible right now, but it's certainly more complex and largely relies on individual investors plowing in rough amounts of funds. This potential change in the rules could turn the average Joe into a small time angel investor, a key promise of cryptocurrency, and one that has clearly found traction in financial markets globally. But most importantly, it might open the back door to cryptocurrency regulations that the whole industry is crying out for. A clean set of rules will help everybody in the long run, and it doesn't matter if they are written for Ethereum or Bitcoin or Tesla and Uber. If cryptocurrency can slide in on these regulations, it could change the whole investing landscape overnight. All right, reading this is showing that the cryptocurrency market is on its way, is growing bigger and becoming an alternative, not alternative, but another investment vehicle, another way to invest your money. More and more people are jumping onto this and utilizing the different ways cryptocurrency can help other business, obviously, by reading and listening to this article. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this one. Any comments on this one?
Well, this article actually contradicts the one you read earlier about how the SEC wants to get involved, wants to halt, these ETFs from being put into market by the three investors. I think it starts with a V, the
Oh, Winklevoss twins.
yeah, the Winklevoss twins. Thank you. This adds another another spin on the whole entire drama because it looks to me like the SEC wants to plan it out for themselves.
Hmm. And we've been hearing that. I've been hearing that from the YouTube crypto pundits, and we've been saying it every now and then that, especially with the CEO of Western Union, that he'll say one thing and he's saying us, oh, cryptocurrency is trash. Ripple is, we can't see a way to save money with Ripple. We're spending more money than we're saving. All these other things that turns people off from cryptocurrency and allows people to think negative about cryptocurrency, and B, when you tell someone that, hey, I'm into cryptocurrency or know about cryptocurrency, they say, oh, well, that's blah 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 blah, and then you have to school them. So, but they're getting this from these people from this Goldman Sachs, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of um, what's this company, Western Union. But they're getting all the information. But at the flip side, a couple of weeks, even the next day, these same people say, "Well, yeah, we're investing into blockchain, and we're even though blockchain's not the same as cryptocurrency, but they'll say, yeah, we're thinking about adding Bitcoin onto our platform, or then you have." Western Union turn around and say, yeah, we're actually trying to work out a partnership with Ripple. So it's all contradicting, and it seems like they're telling you not to invest, not to get into cryptocurrency, but they're filling their bags, their front and back pockets with as much cryptocurrency as possible. And once the cryptocurrency blows up, oh no, we didn't know, but we got all this cryptocurrency.
Well, yeah, if you're a private institution or a private company like like Western Union and you know
Uber, SpaceX, and stuff like that.
well, the financial institutions, they have to be careful about what they say because it could
Mm.
actually jolt the market, right? So just Trump's tweet, I think like the other day, kind of sent the market into a tizzy. So even him just saying something actually puts a bump into the shares of everybody else. So they have to be careful about what they say, or they could be held liable. I think even Elon Musk got in trouble for saying what he said about Tesla, what he's going to
Yeah,
buy back the stock and things like that. So, people are listening, people are watching. So some of the PR stuff, they have to actually be very sensitive with what they say. But obviously, behind the scenes, they're actually working out something, to
yeah,
stay on board.
yeah. It's one YouTuber I look at, Alex Cobb. He's about 19, 20. He he points out, Ripple have been adding to an average of 2 deals per week. They've been working with people and adding partnerships. So people are partner up with these cryptocurrency blockchains, especially the top 5, 10, 15. They're partnering up with them. These blockchains doesn't exist for nothing. They're getting deals done with banks and other industry leaders.
Well, yeah, this is like it, we are right now with cryptocurrencies and blockchain where everybody was with AOL Instant Messenger, right? So everybody had an AOL address, email address, and Instant Messenger, and you can aim me, I think, so to speak. That was the term back then. You can hit me up on AIM or something like that. So everybody wants to be on the the hottest trending cyber product that's available. And now blockchain and cryptocurrencies is the new valuable technology that everybody wants to get their hands on and be a part of. So everybody's walking around just like when 2001 hit with the iPod and that circular button and that square interface. If in the white earbuds, everybody had to have one, even if they were fake iPhone, iPod earbuds. Everybody's had to have it. So now everybody trying to get on Ripple. Everybody's trying to get on Ethereum or Bitcoin or some other aspect of the cryptos, and then they use terms like blockchain and they just throw it out there and say, "Oh yeah, I'm invested into the blockchain," and they have no idea what it is, what they're talking about it, right? So it's all tech gossip for them, But for us, this is we see major opportunities in this market, especially with things like LightPay.
Yeah, 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 yes. Oh man, I like that. I like that. And I've heard that where these I want to say politicians. I think they the meetings were held by politicians. They'll have these meetings and they'll talk about cryptocurrency and blockchain, but they don't have no idea what they're talking about, or they have no idea what it is and the entirety of it. But they're still having these meetings, and that goes to show you, hey, these people have a learning curve to go through in order to understand what we're talking about. Yeah, it's amazing, man.
Yeah, they know things from the surface, but not a entirely deep dive perspective of anything. To be quite frank with you,
Hey, and I agree with you, like, because hey, on one hand, you can you blame them because they're doing so much? People are lobbying them left and right about something, so they have limited time to really learn not even the nitty gritty, but a good a good understanding of a lot of things that they encounter on a daily basis. So yeah. All right, let's get to our next article. This one comes from CNBC.com. Title: This chart could explain why the Bitcoin bubble hasn't fully burst. FYI, I don't know if you are, if you're listening to whoever's listening to this, but Bitcoin has died, I think, over 100 times since its inception. What, 9 years ago? Close to 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's a cat that has 9 lives.
Right. This cat got a lot of lives. It's like a family of cats. All right. Article: Google searches can reveal a lot about a person or a cryptocurrency. New research by economist Joost van der Berg, a policy advisor at the Dutch National Bank, compared Bitcoin price movements to Google searches for the cryptocurrency. The result: a nearly perfect correlation until Bitcoin's price started to plunge in early 2018. Every time Bitcoin had, every time Bitcoin was in the news, be it positive or negative, the price went up accordingly. Vanderberg said in a phone interview with CNBC on Wednesday. Vanderberg said the correlation between Google searches for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency's price was almost a perfect match until the end of 2017. He said it might not be a coincidence that was also when Bitcoin futures markets were introduced. My take on it is that because of the introduction of futures, that might have deflated the bubble before it got to a level where it might burst completely, he said. Separate research published in May by researchers at the San Francisco Federal Reserve also found Bitcoin's price dive was linked to the launch of a futures market. Wow. Vanderberg compared Google searches for other popular assets like gold to their prices and found no correlation. He said public awareness about an investment can help drive its prices to sky high levels. Quote, if the buzz is everywhere, it doesn't matter exactly what the news is about. Nobody wants to miss out, and everybody's trying to get a piece of it. End quote, he said. This has historically been characterized as a euphoria phase of a bubble, based on economist Hyman Minsky's financial instability hypothesis. Minsky's theories became well known during the global financial crisis as it identified five stages of a bubble: displacement, boom, euphoria, profit taking, and panic. Hmm. Vanderburst said Bitcoin's price movements closely trace the beginning of stages of a bubble, trace the beginning stages of a bubble, but fell short of the panic phase. The cryptocurrency is currently trading at 7,000 according to CoinDesk, well below its December 2017 high of nearly 20,000. It wasn't really panic. It was more of a scare, Vanderburst said. Okay, if that drop from 20,000 to 7,000 was a scare, then what is a panic? But if you're looking at the screen right now, they're showing the chart correlation between Bitcoin and Bitcoin's Google searches. I'm guessing I don't see a legend here. I'm guessing the solid black line is the price of Bitcoin, and the dark lime line is the Google search of Bitcoin. And as you can see, they come together at the apex when introduction of Bitcoin futures come along. And on the other side, they still together, but they start to separate, and you just see a boom, the fall of Bitcoin price and the Google search of Bitcoin. Any comment on this one, Mike?
Yeah, that's not uncommon. I mean, people are interested in what Bitcoin is, right? I mean, they saw they saw where the market was going, and they said, what is this? And we have to get involved. So it could be a lot of your Wall Street guys who did not believe in it in the beginning, are probably saying, hey, this is a viable product, and then you have your your consumers on the ground who did not know anything about cryptocurrencies and thought it was too complicated to understand, so they had to do a Google search on it. Could be a variety of things that are involved in why a search is popular. If it's trending in the news and people don't understand what it is, you know, then you're gonna see the searches go up for it. I mean, same thing happened when um, just from a geopolitics perspective, what happened in Syria, right? So a lot of people, a lot of Americans did not know where Syria was on the map, which
Mm.
is embarrassing, but that's what it is. I mean, sometimes when we do our geopolitics hangout, you have to pull up a Google Earth just to just to show the people who are watching where Syria actually is on the map in proximity to where the war is.
Yeah, and that comes in. Well, I don't mean to get off top, but that map showing comes handy. It's helpful because when we talk about North Korea, a lot of people can't understand why. Well, why are you letting North Korea fire off all these missiles? Why don't you just bomb them? But when you show them the map and you show, hey, North Korea is in this little corner next to these 3 or 5 other superpower houses, so you really can't just drop a bomb there. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. People want to know, well, what are they talking about on MSNBC or CNN? What is this Bitcoin? So they do a quick Google search. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Mhm.
All right, let's get to our last point on the docket, people, and then we'll open up everything for a open mic. All right, let's go here. Our next article comes from ccn.com. Title: Monero headed to 18K. Ripple price prime for a 97% crash. Research. Wow, what? All right, let's dig into this. As you can see, John McAfee doing his drugs and got his hookers by his side. Cocaine and hookers, people. Cocaine and hookers. All right. Anonymity centric cryptocurrency Monero may be the best buy in crypto right now, and Bitcoin's not far behind. The Ripple price, XRP, on the other hand, could be primed for a historic crash. Bitcoin and Monero have bright futures. That's according to a new report from initial coin offering advisory and research firm Satis Group, which attempts to forecast what shape the cryptocurrency market will take over the next decade. The real winner from the analysis is Monero, currently the 11th largest cryptocurrency, which Satis predicts could be worth 18,000 within the next 5 years. That represents a more than 18,200% increase from its present value, which stands at just over $98. That bullish XRM, which is the ticker symbol of Monero, forecast largely stems from the firm's expectation that 90% or more of crypto assets valuations over the next decade will be linked not to decentralized applications or dApps or other exciting use cases, but to penetration into the offshore deposits market as as a cryptocurrency that is not only uncensorable but also helps users obfus- I know this word obfuscate transaction data. Monero stands to be one of the decade's top gainers. Unsurprisingly, then, Bitcoin also ranks among Satis's high upside crypto assets, with the firm predicting that the digital gold will eclipse the 96,000 mark in 5 years. This would give the flagship cryptocurrency a market cap well north of 1.5 trillion, enabling it to cement its dominant market position. From the report, quote, despite a lack of appeal during retail frenzies, we continue to believe that BTC and its network effect will dominate in market share with currencies and the overall crypto asset market, driven by one, increasing liquidity and purchasing avenues, two, increasing brand recognition, three, its position as the default base pair with the cryptocurrency markets. We spoke about that previously a lot. 4, declining relative volatility. 5, relative lack of attack vectors. 6, network capacity alleviation through maturity of layer 2 solutions. And number 7, an increasingly high attack and overthrow cost. Other large cap cryptocurrencies that are expected to appreciate against the dollar over the next decade include Ethereum, Litecoin, and Dash. Though all of these coins will see their market share crater compared to BTC and XMR. Ripple price eyes cat excuse me, Ripple price eyes crash toward 1 penny. Even so, Satis believes they will fare far better than their other large cap peers, who, aside from Bitcoin and Monero, will outright implode. The analyst predicts that XRP or Ripple, which once traded as high as $3.84 and is now valued at 33 cents, will crash another 97% over the next 5 years, ultimately declining to penny parity. Cardano will face a similar fate, plunging by 99% to just 1/10 of a penny, and will as will Stellar, which has a 91% drop off on the horizon. Bitcoin Cash and EOS also have bearish forecasts, and while their declines will not be quite so severe, it's unlikely that these valuations they will be used. Allow me to read it again. Bitcoin Cash and EOS also have bearish forecasts, and while their declines will not be quite so severe, it's unlikely that at these valuations they will be used for anything beyond day trading and speculation. Commenting on this controversial outlook, the report concludes, quote, within the current networks, we continue to see meaningful downside from networks that that have inherited brand recognition and potentially short-lived adoption during hiccups from their fork parent, such as BCH or Bitcoin Cash, and very little value in networks that are misleadingly marketed and not even required for use within their own network, such as XRP. End quote. Okay, they do not know what they're talking about in this article. I'll refer back to the one YouTuber. His name is Alex Cobb, Cobb with two B's. He is all about XRP. And if you listen to his videos, he go throughs and he lets you know that hey, XRP is more decentralized than Bitcoin and Ethereum put together. B, XRP has been signing partnerships with large companies, and these large companies are even using the X Rapid system to send money across borders and other countries, other corridors, such as um, with the remittances, are using XRP, X Rapid system. So this article, they do not know what they're talking about. And like you said, with the politicians, a lot of them don't know what they're talking about. You'd be surprised. Now I'm surprised that they even put this garbage on ccn.com. To me, it sounds like that they are shilling Monero to people who don't know any better. They're saying, hey, yeah, Bitcoin will, they're using Bitcoin as the carrot. Yeah, Bitcoin will be 97, 96,000 in the future. All them other wild speculations you've been hearing is true. But you know what? But you know what's also true? Monero. Monero will be up there too at $18,000. It sounds like they're shilling Monero. Now, Monero, I have nothing against Monero. Something interesting about Monero, that obfuscation part that I read, what that is, usually when you send, and this to anybody that's listening, when you send cryptocurrency to one person to another, you have, if you look on the blockchain, you can tell who sent what and to who. With Monero, you can hide your address. So people cannot see who sent what to who. People can't see that. That's Monero. That's one good thing about Monero. It's a privacy coin, but I believe they're trying to shield Monero to the masses in this.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Monero actually paid for the article, right? So,
Good point.
because I think it said advertisement up above it, but yeah, it's interesting to see that XRP is being downgraded, to a possible 1 cent. But or was that Ripple or was that XRP?
Both same thing, and it is advertisement.
Because Ripple is the coin and XRP is the framework, is it not?
Ripple is the company. XRP is the framework. When you hear XRP, think of X Rapid.
Right,
That's the framework. Ripple is the company.
right. Because they say Ripple coin too.
Hmm. So
So,
yeah,
so there needs to be some kind of distinction between whether or not Ripple has its own coin or is XRP being used as a nickname for a for Ripple.
yeah. That's why I say I don't think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. That didn't
Yeah.
make any sense to me. I know they can use XRP as a means of blockchain for for payment, but it didn't make any sense to me when they said XRP versus Ripple. So obviously that's just going to be some FUD. It's always good to read through the FUD to make sure we decipher some of the information for people who may not know.
Hmm. But that was a good point. You said I didn't peep the advertisement that you that we when we surprised them when they were paid for it. That's a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah, man. I see we have a dollar will in the chat room. But yeah,
Well,
yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
he's recovering after the loss for Dallas yesterday. So
Oh! I heard about that. I heard about that on CNN. How they got beat so bad, somebody cried.
it might have been Dollar Will crying.
Oh, that was Dollar Will. No wonder. People like was knocking on the hotel room. Like, hey man, hey fam, you all right? I hear you crying. I know you're a grown man, but it's okay.
The little change you had in his pocket ain't no Bitcoin.
That's the soup money.
Yeah, I haven't. I just want to bring back that I was looking at Square stock. It looks like Square has gone up. I think
let
like
me
$10 to $12 since that announcement. So
let me share my screen. We can look at share. I mean, not share. Square. That sound like
also AMD stock is up $25 now. So
it's the processor, right?
yep. So the last time we looked at it last Friday, it was just breaking 20. Today it's at 25. High predictions that it could end up being 100 by first quarter 2019.
Yeah, you was telling me that. Well, you was telling us that. Yeah. Let's look at the let's do the 5 year on Square. Yeah, 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 yeah. That baby's going. Wow, it went up. It's going up.
Yeah, Square, their payment systems are, some of the most robust, especially if you have an Apple product, especially if you have an iPad. A lot of their systems are actually interoperable with that. When you look at the point of sale systems, um, the POS, it's very robust. Everywhere I go to eat, I can just tap and pay or just use a debit or credit card, and how secure and how small the device is, it just makes it that much more efficient for small startups. So
Yeah, when you mention barbers and beauticians start to use Square, I started shaking my head because that's actually what I use to pay for my haircuts. My barber got the iPhone. You just put the little piece in and you swipe.
right,
So I started shaking my head when you said that because that's what I've been doing that for whew, a good part of a year now.
yeah, and even some carpenters, plumbers, your utility people who are independent contractors, they're using Square as well. They pull
Mhm.
out their little iPad and you sign your name and it's done. But now when you start when you start to include cryptocurrencies, that becomes even better because who knows? It could be that guy who turned his 401k into a big uh Bitcoin account, and now he has the means to actually spend it.
Mm. And it's easier. It's introducing a seamless way to accept these different forms of payment, and you never know who's investing into cryptocurrency. People who invest in the cryptocurrency doesn't is not it's not no look to it. So you put that sign outside your building, and now that I say that, a lot of small mom and pops or small stores, they use the square with the device on the counter and everything. They use the square ecosystem to accept payments. But you put that sign outside your business, say, "Hey, Square, we accept cryptocurrency or any forms of cryptocurrency." You may get more people shopping at your store because you got people that just specifically want to live on cryptocurrency, and they see that like, wow, you accept cryptocurrency? Okay, what you got?
It depends on how they receive it as well. If you're talking about playing video games and the tokens that they receive can be transferable for spending on other goods on the ground, that's a possible option.
Another cryptocurrency is starting to get more adopted more and more as we read these articles. And it's funny because like the regular person that do a 9 to 5, they don't have any idea what's going on.
Yeah. Um, I see possibilities with this in terms of where Square comes in because Square and Mastercard are somewhat one in the same. They're in the same market, but not the same mechanisms. So Square has the point of sale systems, and Mastercard has the member network, right? So they have the ability to harness human capital, whereas Square has the ability for the means of point of sale. So there's somewhat of a there's somewhat of a synergy between the two, and it kind of questions the reasoning for something like Coinbase or even having a digital wallet on your phone. Because
Mm-hmm.
if Mastercard is going to become a digital wallet for cryptos based on their secure network, based on the blockchain patents that they have in place, and then you take in something like Square that's going to say we have these patents that allow for secure communications for the means of spending cryptocurrencies. Who needs a wallet now then?
Right. And most people are not going to be fooling around with a wallet to begin with because it's so, you got the learning curve. So some people it's confusing and that deters them. People that I don't want to lose my money. What if I lose my money? What happens? So, like you said, with MasterCard coming out, people are going to say, well, why would I do that when I can do this?
Right, and then you have Coinbase having the ATMs and things like that, and LightPay coming up with ATMs. People are like, oh, I gotta run to the ATM and get some virtual currency. Like, wait a second, all I gotta do is just pull out my phone.
Mm-hmm. And just tap tap. That's that. When you say that and you pair that with virtual currency, they they it's the same. It's all in the same. Hey, hey, this is virtual currency. I can just do this. Why do I need to hold cash in my hand or whatever? So yeah, I understand. I agree with you. I understand what you're saying. Just like with the Mastercard article we read, they saying they gave you an option to either pay with fiat or crypto. I mean, like, wow, like really, wow.
This is something I didn't know. So I didn't know that the Coinbase card, the debit card, is actually based on Visa and not Mastercard. So I thought it was Thought it was one and the same. But I guess not.
Yeah, I see a lot of cards now, and right now that are out that allows you to pay anything with your crypto. Visa logo. I don't see a lot with Mastercard. Really, those are the same too. I don't see nothing with Discover or even Amex, but Visa and Mastercard are the main two. But Visa is the king in this area right now.
Yeah, because their networks are so large, right? So I think Mastercard has something like almost close to 2 billion users, and I think Visa and American Express make up the other two, other percentages.
Mm, wow. Because like I mentioned, that BitPay is a Visa, even though it's a secure credit card, it has a Visa logo, so you can spend that baby wherever Visa is located. You ain't gotta ask them, well, do you sell Bitcoin? I have this Bitcoin on my security credit card. No, you can just spend it. You go to Walmart and pick you up a 2 for 2, whatever it's a 2 for 2, but you can do that. Go to Wendy's or anything and get you a meal with that Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, but that crypto secured credit card. It's a Visa logo, so spend to your heart's content.
And it's also, helps out with the loss of remittance. So we discussed this last Friday with Kenya losing millions, if not close to $1 billion in remittances that being sent back and forth just for Kenyans alone. We know you're
Just
talking
this
about
year.
Nigeria and Egypt and some of the major states within Africa, as well as even the Caribbean, uh, Haiti and Jamaica and those places. We haven't really touched on that, but when you think about the the new network now that's going to be riding on top of the blockchain, the loss of remittances is going to be at a bare minimum, if not non-existent at all. So
And
the recovery is going to be paid for just by the implementation of the blockchain.
yeah, yeah. And when eh, I understand that when we talk about things, we really talk about things. We understand the different nuances of subjects that we talk about that people may not think about when you bring it up to other people. But I say that to say, we understand that crypto is still in its infancy. Is technically it is 10 years old, but it's barely 10. It's not even 10 years old. So when people say, "Oh, that's not going to survive," it's crap, or whatever the case may be, whatever negativity they say. But the strides the cryptocurrency market is taking now, and it's not even 10 years old compared to where the internet was when it was barely 10 years old. When you compare those two, when we compare those two, talking about these type of subjects, we can see the bigger picture and say, well, oh yeah, in 10 years it's going to be huge. Let me get into it now. Compare us with the everyday person, you know, wow.
Yeah, it looks like gold is back up to above $1,200. It was below $1,200 I think last week. So we see gold stabilizing, and it hasn't really moved all that much. So kind of coincides with what Maduro was saying in one of the articles or the video that we watched earlier that gold is a safe investment for Venezuelans. So the stability inside gold.
Gold, gold and digital gold in the future. Yeah, but I was hoping Dollar Will got on. He
We'll
can
give him a few minutes.
bless us with some of his uh, knowledge.
Right. He sent an email out the other day talking about I forget what you heard about gold. So um,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah. However, silver has not been holding up very well, according to the charts. It's kind of down less than 1% or something to that effect. It hasn't really moved up all that much in comparison to gold stabilization.
Now it's funny in the crypto market. Crypto you see a 8 to 16%. There go the man. You see an 8 to 16% change in one day. You like, wow. But in the traditional stock market, you may see a point whatever percent swing. That's like one big difference between the two markets.
Hmm.
What's
Now,
going on? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that these tariffs that going back and forth between the United States and China. China seems to be having the upper hand for the moment, but there's a possibility that China may have a losing hand by end of Q4 this year.
Hmm. So if that happened, I wonder what they'll do.
Somebody's gonna have to call for a ceasefire.
Yeah, a truce.
Yes. Turkey, the tariffs that the United States or the sanctions that the United States put on Turkey has sent the lira spiraling out of control. But as of yesterday, today, the lira has bounced back. See, the problem with the lira is that it's contagious because Turkey does so much business with Asia and Europe that if the lira spirals out of control, then everybody else catches pneumonia as well. If you know if if Turkey has a cold, then everybody else catches pneumonia. Um, the Turkish finance minister, I believe, came out and said something about getting on board with cryptocurrencies. Um,
Mhm.
so there's a possibility to get around sanctions.
But that's what a lot of countries are doing nowadays. They're starting to use cryptocurrency. We talked about Iran and the tariffs Trump put on Iran and how they were saying, well, Trump saying don't think about using any other form of payment, such as precious, well, um, the stuff that's in their ground. He put tariffs on everything, but he can't put tariffs on crypto. So a lot of these countries are using going to cryptos to get around these tariffs.
Yeah, and now you hear the German finance minister coming out and saying we need to have an alternative to the SWIFT system because of the sanctions that the United States have threatened to put on European companies doing business in Iran.
Right. And people don't want that. People, these countries are trying to make money. They got their own people to look after. They're trying to make money. These businesses trying to make money. They don't want to be putting up, oh, if I sign a multi-million or even a multi-billion-dollar deal with Iran, I got to worry if the United States gonna push sanctions on me. No, you don't want to be worried about that. You trying to make as much money as you can.
Right, and the German finance minister is basically saying that there needs to be a parallel system to the SWIFT system. So that means that whatever new system that they put in place, that's what their companies are going to do business on with Iran and even North Korea now, because there's a
Mm.
possibility that if you're going to do business with a sanctioned country like Iran, what's to say that you won't do the same business with North Korea, Cuba, and Venezuela?
Right, and I was going to mention Venezuela. They're a sanctioned country, so it's quite possible that we can see a block of countries come together and say we are putting together this block to get around the SWIFT system and this dollar, this American dollar, and it may be countries with that produce a lot of goods that other countries want to buy, and that happens. And they force you to trade in this currency. I wonder what America going to do. They don't want. I seriously doubt they want to fight a war with powerful countries. You know.
Well, they wouldn't fight a war, but they'll just go into a tariff dispute like they have with China right now. I mean, they're already doing this to the Europeans as it stands. BMW and Audi and Lamborghini and and Ferrari, all these companies have having tariffs put on them, like Siemens, which is Europe's equivalent to General Electric here. Um, quite a few things, major entities that they would have to go up against. But if they can come up with a parallel system to the Swiss system, then that just means that it's game over. because if a system can be comprised in the next 6 months to maybe 9 months at best, because an economic banking system uh, would be quite an endeavor for for a continent like Europe to come up with. But that doesn't mean that the Russians are going to sit by idly. There's rumors this week about Russia, Angela Merkel, which is the German chancellor, has been having talks with Vladimir Putin, who's the president of Russia, about the Nord Stream pipeline coming from Russia into Germany and figuring out different ways of, I guess, payment methods to work on because of the sanctions that Russia has on it, because of the new sanctions that the United States has put on it, basically pushing the Russians out of the traditional banking market or the banking system and forcing them to nothingness. But the Russians are not, that naive. So they've been working in the background for some time now on a new alternative to the SWIFT system, which is called the SPF as a code name. Basically, it's a blockchain, crypto-based means of transfer for banking, and that's what the Venezuelan petro is based on, and that's where the crypto ruble will be based on.
Mm. Yeah. I was gonna add something else, but I really forgot what I was gonna say.
You
But
gotta write these stuff thing. You gotta write these things down.
yeah, I do. I gotta practice doing that. How you doing, Dollar Will? How you doing today? I think he has us on mute. Hello?
I can hear you.
You can't hear me?
I could hear you,
Oh,
but we can't hear Dollar Will.
yeah, Dollar Will, I think you were screaming at the mic when the time was ticking down on the football game, and you may have broken your microphone.
Well, he uses DraftKings, and DraftKings has been working on a blockchain setup themselves.
Oh, wow. That would be amazing.
I saw you can look at the job listings. I think they were either hiring for a developer or that role has been fulfilled already.
Mm.
But you're talking about fantasy football with cryptocurrencies, as a payment method to get around taxation and things of that nature.
Well, Dollar Will?
Yeah, hello, fellas. You hear me now?
What's going on, player?
Yeah. It's been a rough holiday week. When you got the whole family thing going on, it's hard to keep up. So yeah, that's why I've been kind of MIA this week. But let's see. I was listening to what you guys were saying. This is a telling week. The dollar, especially versus the let me see if I can. Let's put something up real quick. I'm really behind on my charting for this week. Let's see. First, let's take a look at this goal just to make it get rid of this. Okay. All right. We're looking at gold. We're looking at what's this? A monthly? No, daily. No. All right. So we got this big trend that started downtrend. This is gold from April 11th. And this is the recent run up. And what I want to point your attention to is this stochastic here. We've already gone into the over bought territory, which to me says that we should be resuming this down period. Also, I want to show you that we didn't really make a higher high. Let's see. I would call this like, for this little last leg down, that would be like the high. So this peak really didn't take out any previous high. So structurally, nothing has changed. The rule of in a downtrend, that's a lower low and a lower high. So until we get a takeout of a previous high, we have to consider the bias to still be down. And the reason why the gold has had this recent strength is because the dollar has just been taking a vicious decline. Let me see, and it should be about done. I can't find what I'm looking for. Hold on for a second. Daily. Let me. Oh, we can also see on this stochastic the dollar is oversold. That means the dollar is due for a vicious, pretty significant rise. And this is the rise that started in February for the dollar. And I believe we have something near to a 50% retrace, but not exactly, but it's close enough. Let me do it this way. Okay, so we got the rise to this peak here. We've come down to just about at the 50% level. We got this little peak right here in the price. You can't really see my horizontal line. You can see we're kind of sitting right like this price candlestick right here. This peak value is on the high. I'm looking at the legend box on the upper left. It's 96,486. So it looks like that might be serving as support now. So we'll see what this price low is. The low is 96,522. So it did not crash through this point. So it'll be interesting next week. Let me just say at this moment it's inconclusive, but retrace about this amount, and probably worst case scenario probably fall even further, but it's I doubt it. Since we're so oversold, we're like on 3, and this black line, the fast line, is already crossed above. So next week following the holiday, I believe we're going to get a resumption of dollar strength. Gold continue to fall. I think gold is going to look pretty ugly probably between now and maybe November. And then we should probably have a turnaround, not gold strength leading into the holidays like Black Friday and Christmas. And then after that, we may get one more final leg down. Then that'll be all over, and it should be pretty ugly for the dollar after that. But I still think that gold is to be faded. It's not to be trusted at this particular moment. Let me try to show you something a little more objective beyond just my opinion on this. Let me see. I like looking from the outside in, like looking at the quarterly, monthly, weekly. Okay, so you see even on the quarterly chart here, and we got the stochastic, and this thing is still way oversold, and the momentum is still going down. Let's look at it on a monthly. So I kind of step through these from the longer ranges out. Okay, so this is getting to the over sold stage, which kind of corresponds with what I'm saying, that gold is going to have a nice move up between now and maybe November. And so that means gold I think gold is going to come down a bit more between now and November. That would set us up for gold to go up going into Christmas and probably for the rest of the year. But between now and say November, doesn't look so hot. But let's see what the weekly looks like. Okay, well that looks good. I usually trust. I like the monthlies, better, especially when you're talking about a decline that's been in progress since 2011. So the daily stuff can kind of, like, for example, this is what it can be confusing. That's why we use a lot of different indicators, a lot of different techniques, because on the weekly chart, on the daily chart, it says we're over bought. On the weekly chart, if you just went with what you saw on the weekly chart, you would think, okay, time to buy gold. That's why I look at different time scales, to come up with an opinion. Of course, the greatest one is this one. This is ugly. I'm not buying it. I think gold has a ways to go down. I'm not trusting it. So I would fade this rally, but everybody should just kind of stay tuned. If I can trying to get rid of this green share.
Yeah, there you go.
So would you say that gold?
Got an echo dollar will.
Would you say that gold has to come down more than 5% in difference before it becomes a strong buy again?
Um, I think that we're doing an ABC pattern, and we're still doing the A leg. So I don't think we have far to go before we get into the Christmas rally mode. But this short term, near term low. I'm not trying. Intentionally not using the word bottom, because I don't think that the gold bottom is in. The low on those big charts I was showing you was in December of 2015. And there are a lot of people that think that bottom is going to hold. I do not. I think we're going to approach it, and we're not going to take it out in this leg. And this leg down, I don't think we're going to take out that 2015 low. And then we're going to go north, and people are going to say, oh, it looks like a double bottom. Is it the gold is back and gold is safe? I think that's going to be a fake out. So we're going to see over time. I'm not trusting it. But the reason I say it is because the confluence of other things. The dollar chart has a very long way to go. Much, much more strength ahead. And I think people are severely underestimating it. And the reason for anybody that's an Elliott wave theory trader, my opinion is coming from looking at charts. We're talking about 50 years. That kind of amount of data to show that where we are in this particular wave pattern. If I'm correct, I think the low in 2011 was the start of a dollar wave 4, and the decline of gold in 2011 is wave 4 for gold. And neither one of those, gold has not declined enough, and the dollar has not risen enough. So it's just not over. It's just way too early. And that I guess this little pregnant pause we're experiencing in the market is affecting confusion for the cryptocurrencies too, because Bitcoin has to fall a significant amount more too. So it's not the right time. But I think things are going to pick up faster because I'm kind of looking sideways at the Dow. The Dow did something funny as it approached the January high. The way it turned, when it turned. So it's kind of, I just want to just say, just be cautious right here. We'll get more data after the holidays. But it looks like the Dow might be rolling over, but I don't want to say that conclusively because the data isn't there yet. But it's suspicious because we're overbought on the Dow, but if we didn't make a new high. And so it's sort of like, think of an alphabet number M. If you draw M, the first peak is higher. And so in an uptrend, this current peak was supposed to make a higher high. So the price chart shouldn't be running out of steam. So if it runs out of steam without making a higher high, that's what we call a double top. And so the Dow looks pretty suspicious. We should have a better idea next week. So, and what is in the Dow? The Dow Jones Industrial Average is industrial stocks. And so you have your metals in there, and you have your big industrial companies which use those metals and that use energy. So all of that, weakness in the Dow, weakness in the industrials, weakness in metals, weakness in oil, all of that all of those things are consequences of a strong dollar that I'm saying has a significant amount higher to go, and we may be at that. We may have reached that turning point or that near term bottom for the dollar today. We may have done it today, but next week I will know conclusively. So the setup is there for the Dow, which is the really very dollar sensitive, and gold. So a dollar strength is not good for industrials and gold. So that money will flee those metals and those energy stocks and those industrials and go to the dollar. And the currencies around world currencies will run to the dollar. So basically, people that have enjoyed that some profits in the euro and the Swiss franc, and the yen, they will run to the dollar now to secure those profits.
Mm-hmm.
So, but next week we'll see. But that's my speculation on what's going on, because I'm not giving up on my long range thesis that this is a way forward that started in 2011 for the dollar and gold, and neither run a way forward run in either of those is over. I think the market is grossly underestimating how much more the dollar has to go higher and the damage that will do to gold and the Dow Jones Industrial.
Now, what's your take? Go ahead, Lionel. Go ahead.
I was going to comment and say he sounded like a professor saying what that everything he said sounded much like a professor. I just wanted to say that because that's what he sounded like to me, professor.
Well, he is an aficionado. So,
well, I just hope that I'm right. I just hope that there's a lot of pressure coming out here with everything being recorded, because the tape is there. For if I say something that's just completely whack and the market does something completely opposite, that's so that it does put pressure on me to really kind of be sure about what I'm putting on the public record.
Mm.
now, do you have a chart for oil?
Okay, I will. Let me try to pull it up. I have not checked on it for a while, but
Because we could see some spikes by Labor Day.
Let me take a look at it. I like this one. No particular reason. I really would like to see Exxon too. What am I looking? I'm looking at a quarterly. Okay, so it's getting up there. I've not looked at this in a while. Okay, so now this is a monthly chart. 90. Okay, anything over 80 is considered overboard. So if you look back in the past to the left here, you see every time it's gotten to these high points, it eventually had some kind of pullback. Well, I ignore all the movements that's below 80, and so 80 and above is overboard. And it doesn't mean that it's going to fall immediately. Okay, as you see here, it can stay overboard for a while. You see here, it can stay overboard for a while. And you look at these lower readings, that tells you that it's oversold. So we're looking at a monthly chart of oil. Let me see what the weekly looks like. This is how I do it. I scale through the different time frames, just like on the other chart. The weekly looked like everything was great. Let me see what we got here. Just looking at this weekly. Okay. I was looking to see if we had a head and shoulders, but we don't. It cleared it, which is good. That's positive that this price cleared this peak right here. Let me put a stochastic on. I'm sorry, a Fibonacci tool on here to see what we got in terms of a retrace here. Okay. Oh, it's pretty strong. That's like almost a 78% retrace. Now, this is actually positive for oil that it retraced as much as it did. So that would be a strike against my pessimism. Just to be brutally honest about it. But you see this body part of this red candlestick and this body part here, and just putting my line here. So we'll see as we approach this 14.95 on U.S. oil fund. I want to take a look at Exxon too. Let me look at a daily and look at the stochastic on the daily chart. So yeah, you see we're up at 93. We're overbought on the daily chart too. So it's a close call.
Okay.
Now that's why I look at dollar, I look at gold, I look at oil, and when I see like, and I'm sure I could pull up the euro, and I see all these things overbought, and the dollar is oversold. And okay, this is the daily of Exxon, and it too is overbought. And we can, let me see, my computer's dragging. Come on. Okay. So, and when the peak, when we were overbought here, and when we traveled from overbought down to the low reading in the oversold territory, look at the damage that was done. Okay. And our journey back to overbought from oversold, that's all the price, that's all we got. This is Exxon. Let me see my Fibonacci tool and see how much of a retrace was that. Okay, there's that magic right here is a 61.8. That's that close enough. So in that danger zone, anywhere between like a 50% or a 61.8, that's generally, is enough. Is enough to signal a reversal. And we have the peak. Let me move this chart here. And this final leg down, it started with this peak here. And in this run up, we didn't make a new high. We didn't make a higher high. So that kind of speaks to my argument, my position that we continue down from here. But if we do, that's gonna freak the world out, because Exxon is very large oil company, and people are people looking at this chart since April. I'm sure they're going to be of the mind that Exxon is going to keep going higher. But as we go from overbought down to oversold, we're going to look to see if we make a low, if we make a new low. Now, if we go from overbought to oversold and there's enough support to stop Exxon from making a new low, then we would have to say that strength. This is just a normal consolidation, and that the trend would possibly continue to go higher. But if a lower low is made, then we have to say from this point forward, we have to consider that the bias is negative until otherwise. So again, the jury is kind of out on it. So, and we see Exxon has been falling a while. Let me see. Put it on quarterly. 2014, yeah. So that's the drama. That's the drama. As the dollar does its thing, we'll next Friday we're gonna have some clearer answers about what's going on. Because if the Dow, let me see, do I have something for that? Hold on, you guys. All right, let me see. Dow. The symbol I use, I'm using the diamond, DIA, Dow Jones Industrial Spider ETF. Okay. Okay, come on. All right. That's not giving me enough information. Let me see. Well, this is our January. This is that January high here. Let me go in some more. So what I do when I see the price like reapproaching a previous high like this, I'll put a trend line, basically just a trend line from here to here, and just to be objective about it, until that trend line is violated, then the bulls are gonna consider the Dow as being bullish until this trend line here breaks. Now we can see it won't take much of a decline to make that happen. Okay, so really it would be like this one. This candlestick here we're looking at a weekly chart. So this would be the candlestick from August 13th, be about 2 weeks ago. If we get a vicious big red candlestick like this, one of these big boys right here, it'll take this out, and which would break this trend line. Okay, you just imagine an imaginary trend line here. We get one of these big boys, we could be here, and so this would set off an alarm. If the price go below this one, it will set off alarm. If it breaks this line, people will kind of scratch their head. But this one here, people gonna freak. So it's like a progression. First, break. Put it on.
Okay.
So if you're technical trader, you're just watching these lines in the sand get crossed. You go, okay, wait a minute. So as long as it stays above this line here, okay, that's strength. All right. If it breaks that line, okay, so okay, what's the next argument? Okay, keep this. Did it make a lower low? Okay, fine. Okay, well, wow. Okay, the price dropped. If it drops below this, okay, what's the next line in the sand? Okay, this. Okay, it breaks that trend. Okay, what's the next one? Okay, this. Okay, we keep failing on all of these tests. So, and the final leg in the sand is the low here from this decline in January. So even so, the bullish traders will start to unwind their bullish their optimism as all of these lines in the sand get crossed. Okay, and here's what I find suspicious. Okay, we had the price in January. We were overbought. We dropped, became oversold. We right back in the same, the general, overbought area. We'll see. Now, it could continue going sideways like this, or it could dive. We'll see. But when I see these smaller candlesticks, that smaller range right there tells you that the difference between the spread, the bid and ask, so the difference in value or perception of the value between the bears and the bulls, they have a very close opinion about what the value of the Dow Jones is at this point. And that smaller candlestick is telling you that they are in very close agreement that this is what the value of the price is. When you see a big candlestick like this, that's telling you that one side is dominant, that it's going down. But usually when the candlesticks get this small, you get something big happen one way or the other. Like you had a small one here, then you got this big one. So this next big move, if it's green, it could blow out this top, and there goes my bearish argument. But we could get just one of these big ones in 1 week. These are weekly chart I'm looking at. 1 week, you can measure one of these suckers with the if you want to be quick and dirty about it, you can just take one of these an equivalent move to what we had in January. Just to be quick and dirty. And what I'm doing is I'm moving this top here, and so that would we can have an equivalent kind of size candlestick. I'm not. This is real quick and dirty. This is not doing percentage decline, but that candlestick would survive. So it would probably take probably a bigger move than what we experienced that first week in January. But it could happen as quickly as a week as we see. So next week, we should have some more information. But like I said, if the dollar strength, the setup is there for dollar strength to negatively impact the Dow. So, any other charts you want to see?
How's your Apple stock doing? I think it's up 2%.
Okay, let me pull up Apple.
I want to say, how you doing, anti-gravity? How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Lionel. How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, I'm just listening right now.
I think he's flying around in his Honda Civic 2017.
Yes, I am, Mike.
Slow down there, Speed Racer. Dale Earnhardt.
I have not looked at Apple in a long time, man. Wow, I should have been. This thing has been rolling. Okay, we see this is an example of how when you have strength, something can stay overbought for a while. Okay, so because it hadn't hurt Apple on this scale. 28 is this is back to September. This little bit of information. September of last year, it has never really got weakness in terms of getting down to 20. Last time it's really been low in terms of oversold was May of 2016. It just never, people have not been selling it, never come down, and all that time. So I have to, this looks suspicious. Okay, this is all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is due. This is due. I can't really say right now like how much further it's got to go, because this computer is not acting right now. I need like more tools and stuff.
You need more memory.
Yeah, there you go. More memory for the computer and me. But it doesn't. Let me go to the monthly. Wow, look at that for the month. That cancer, it's bigger. This is buying momentum, excitement, exuberance. This candlestick, this is greater than any of them before. Going back to 2013. That's serious.
Well, I think.
Wow.
I was just going to say that I think there's going to be an announcement next week for the next release of their fall products. So Series 4 watch, new supposed to be a new iPhone SE, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me say this. This is the 2009 when we had what people call, quote unquote, the crash, the last. See, Apple was hardly affected. We're looking at a quarterly chart. Okay. So Apple had a minor. This is why I like Elliott wave theory, because even when you have something like what people call the crash, when you look at it in context, it just looks like a normal, everyday correction. It's just nothing, And I also like the quarterly charts because it smooths out all the rough stuff. You just see a few red candles here and there, and that kind of helps with the wave count. Okay. And I would say that this could be a wave 5 or should be a wave 5. And see,
Did
wave
you
3 is
take
kind
into
of
account um, the corporate buybacks?
no. As a technical trader, I don't take. We believe that everything is in the charts. All of the fundamental issues and events is reflected every day when people go into the market and buy or sell. That all of those events, those fundamental events, get translated at some point in market activity as buys or sells. And so, judging from counting from this 2009 point, which started like in the NASDAQ, a new wave count. I would count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is suspicious to me. I wouldn't buy it. I'm bearish on the market. I think that to put money into like Apple or most of these tech stocks at this stage, I I I I, I think you have more to lose than to gain at this point. That's just me. You know.
Yeah, that's an interesting opinion because I think we mentioned earlier, or at least I mentioned earlier, that AMD stock has gone up from the last time we spoke, in the last economics hangout. From $20 to $25 just today, which to me I think is significant based on the position in the market that they are. Intel, for those who are listening and don't know, Intel has a specific bug inside their chips that cause a thermal breakdown, basically. And you would have to recall all the CPUs, and Apple is a big investor into Intel CPUs in their laptops and their desktops and their iMacs. So you can't just take the CPU out and replace it with another one. You would have to replace the whole entire system. So you have these what we call meltdowns with this thermal bug inside these Intel CPUs, and AMD is actually the competitor to Intel in this because they provide something called a Threadripper CPU that was recently released that is highly competitive with the Intel product, but does not have the same Intel bugs. So a lot of companies are actually jumping on AMD now because AMD is going to be on the upswing and Intel is going to be on the downswing because they have to make a recall on these products, and there's a high probability that they could be sued if they knew that the bug was actually inside the CPU before they actually released it.
Wow.
So they're going to lose not just millions, but even billions of dollars in processing of these fabrication facilities because they have to retool it. They have to go back and do all the bug testing to make sure that the CPUs don't melt.
Yeah, I'm gonna tie this into another conversation. Of course, you got the divide between the fundamental fundamental traders, fundamental analysis traders versus the technical analysis traders. But we also, based on what you just said about about AMD, you also have the people that don't like ETFs, and it what you just said about the optimism about AMD is one of the arguments where people don't like ETFs, because you have AMD in the same ETF that owns Intel, and then with more and more people trading ETFs, they'll sell the ETF, and that'll hurt that cell. It will punish, let's say in this case, what you would call the I guess the better the uptrending company AMD. It'll punish AMD equally to Microsoft. And so these differentiations between companies within an industry, people trading ETFs, blur the distinction. So so more and more we reward the entire industry, even the dog companies in that industry. Okay, so the industry gets rewarded and punished, and a good company, it's very hard for a good company to survive a negative trend in an industry. So the industry can be having a rough time, but that company can be doing well. That company's going to get punished just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah,
Being in that industry.
yeah, and in the past, okay, in the past, Intel has been caught for I forget the legal term for it, but I guess backdoor deals with companies to sub, uh, subverge the purchasing of AMD products inside their systems, including Dell and Lenovo and the rest of these companies, so that they would not include AMD products or advertise AMD products in comparison to Intel in their product lineup. So they've had to pay AMD back quite a few chunks of money, which is maybe pennies or nickels to Intel because they're the juggernaut financially. But for a company like AMD to receive $800 million or $500 million in the settlement case, that's huge for a company like that. And I think they've used that money that they have from these settlements to actually retool themselves and bring out better products like the Threadripper and their new Radeon graphics cards. Um, they've also, just as a heads up, that their AMD CPUs are actually inside the Xbox and as well as the PlayStation. So they're making money in both of these areas on these consoles.
Well, just looking at this chart, it's going to be interesting from the technical side to see what happens with AMD. I'm looking at this is a quarterly chart. We can see that it's in. It could run up a little more, but it's in that dangerous, getting close at least to that dangerous overbought area, and we see that the high was back in 2000. Most of those other companies like Intel, they've already made new highs. So I would say a bullish AMD person would say that AMD could take out this high. It could go from 25 to $50 or whatever, just to take out that high. And look, another candlestick like this one, another big move. It could happen. It could happen. And it's common also for trends to end in a bang, meaning that the most spirited purchases will happen at the end of a trend, and then the news cycle will promote that, and a lot of people will buy on that good news, and that's why I'm saying you have to go by the charts because it sometimes you're joining the end of the trend, so the good news is the end of the party, and so this is Intel, and let me go back to look at as much of it as there is to see what their high was at least back. Oh well, they haven't taken out their high either from 2000. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, maybe they both will take out their high. So it could be that the chip sector is going to have a blow off. I mean, look how big this red candlestick is. Look how big this green one is. I mean, Intel. Who knows? Maybe we get one of those for Intel. Maybe we have the little pullback and then get that Christmas run out that I'm talking about. That Christmas run to finish out the year, and we can see AMD and Intel challenge their all-time highs. So
Yeah,
that could happen.
yeah. I think as you see this new AMD chip come out, that's cracking some big numbers. You're gonna see big spikes because I went to the store because I'm actually building a computer myself. So I went to the store to go buy a motherboard, and you couldn't even get them in stock because they were just out. Can't keep up with the demand. I don't know if Christian may be seeing the same thing. What's going on, Christian?
Nothing much. How's everybody's doing?
All right, everything's great. You need me to take off the screen share? Any more charts?
No, I think we're good on charts for right now. Maybe
Now,
Christian can add something to the discussion.
AMD is coming out with, I think it's pronounced Xeons processors. That's their server end. I think it's
Right.
128 lanes.
Yeah, I think Epic is
There it is.
the consumer. It's the consumer version, right? And then the one you just mentioned is the
server end.
Yeah, the commercial one.
I think the after show is going to be a geek fest.
It's already a geek fest as it is now. So we might as well keep it going.
When you said they selling out of motherboards, like they can't. Like when was the last time that happened? They're selling out of motherboards.
Well, it's a difficult. AMD doesn't make a whole lot of chips, so sometimes like at Micro Center, for example, you buy a chip, you get a motherboard on discount. So they only have maybe 10 in stock or maybe 20 in stock. That might just be it. But these, you heard about a gamers conference, I think last week or maybe the week before that. People are starting to buy new parts for computers, starting to build up new computers. This is the right time for people to start building for back to school and things like that. So there's some demand there for these new CPUs and these new video cards, especially the new GTX 2080. I think that's the name of it, 2060 from NVIDIA. So NVIDIA stock too. NVIDIA stock is starting to go up.
There's the 2080, 2080 Ti, 2070, and I don't know if they come up to 2060 yet, but that's probably around the corner.
Yeah, that's probably on the roadmap somewhere, right? So everybody wants to crack crypto, big crypto numbers, other community based number cracking programs. That stuff comes into play. And from my understanding, the Threadripper is really a monster. Just rips through everything.
Wow, I gotta look more into this.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to follow it every week and see, how these semiconductors look going into the end of the year. So you think that this Christmas or what you see happening on the technological front is setting up Christmas to be a big computers going to be a big thing this Christmas, you think?
Yeah, this is the right time of the year. Q3, Q4 is where you see these new products launch. I think I mentioned earlier that Apple is going to have their announcements either next week.
On the 12th.
Yeah, on the 12th for their new products as well. So everybody's going to have these new holiday runs for their new new SKUs.
Well, looks like they read charts too.
They had better. They're the ones making the money, right?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Anti-Gravity? Got anything you want to add?
I think he's still bending corners in his in this sky machine. Yeah, man, it's gonna be, oh my goodness. We're gonna have a good geek fest after this.
Yeah, I see Ford stock has been taking the dip too. They've been calling it a pretty toxic levels.
Ford stock is pretty cheap to begin with.
I wonder why. I mean, they should be the leading innovator. I mean, look at all the Mustangs they're coming out with, and the Lincoln Navigator, the new Aviator. I would think that their stock should be doing well. Not so much the Expedition, but they're more money making products, right? So their value products are in the compact end, the sedans and stuff like that. But their high money return on investment is usually coming from the SUVs. So your Navigator is a $120,000 vehicle. So when you
Ford is. Oh, go ahead.
When you counter that with GM's Escalade, the Cadillac Escalade, that prints money for them left and right? So even Jaguar, right? So Jaguar only sells about maybe 800 cars a year. When they brought out the F Pace truck, they sold like 4,000 trucks more than their sedans and the rest of their products in their lineup just in 1 year alone. So SUVs are printing money for these companies. So I can't understand why Ford would have such tough, difficult times in their stock and evaluation.
Yeah, I thought I was going to say that maybe it had something to do with the tariffs, which is definitely affecting them, but so it's affecting everyone. So I'm not quite sure what's Ford's deal.
Yeah, it could be the tariffs. It could definitely be the tariffs. Of steel, not enough steel to produce vehicles. But I would think that they've overproduced vehicles because of what's sitting on the lots. Some of these lease deals. $89 a month for like um, a Focus or something like that. Um, no money down. They're pushing these vehicles off the lot, so they can't give them away enough.
Mm. All right. Any
Yeah, you can see here that Ford really never recovered from its peak in what 99. It never it's never been anywhere, near it. It's what, like around the $41 area. It couldn't even retrace 20% of, I mean 50% of it, So it's just been having a rough time since 1998. Not
They
looking good. But
they
on the Stochastic, they are deeply they're over sold. So hey, maybe they got a bounce coming.
Yeah, they took money. They took bailout money before GM and Chrysler did. So they were okay going into '08, but the rest of GM and Chrysler was not, right? So I think in 2006 they took bailout money under Bush.
Yeah. I tell you one thing to watch though with when the market tanks, one of those sectors that seem to do okay is the car parts, because people keep their older cars and they fix them. So we'll be looking at that. If this Dow starts rolling over, we'll be looking at things like auto parts suppliers, or what's it, AutoZone,
Yeah,
and
advance.
there you go, advanced, yeah, and the individual companies, for the driveway repairman. That's what people. Yeah, people. When money gets tight, people keep those cars longer, and that's that trend. Um, Car manufacturing has gotten to the point where they're so good at it that cars just last longer. Period. And so when times get rough, I think we're going to see that extend even more. So that hurts Ford. So they've kind of gotten too good at making cars, or the whole industry gotten too good for their own good.
Yeah, and the people who do go out and get these new cars, they get this euphoria of, well, it smells really good, it feels good to be in there, up until those payments need to be made, and Repo Man is rubbing his hands saying, yes, can't wait,
mm-mm.
miss
Yeah,
that
I
payment.
almost bought a new car once. I got over it. I went to one of those stores, AutoZone, Advanced Audio, and I bought this. Instead of getting a new car, I bought the bottle of new car scent.
Hell, you serious?
Yo, I'm
Yeah,
serious,
they
man.
sell it on Amazon.
It smells just like a new car. I saved all my
Hey,
money. I washed my car real good, and I sprayed it with the new car scent. And
what's the name of that? I gotta get that. That's funny.
it's called new car scent.
Yeah, right on Amazon. I think you can get a
I'm,
bottle of it for like 15, $20.
I'm about to look this up. Wait a minute. Hold on. This is
I
hilarious.
think my car was about 8 years old at the time. I hit it with that new car scent and kept my money.
And that's the thing, they spray that new car scent in there so that when you go test drive, you're like, yeah, I think I'll buy it. until you get
Oh,
home, you see that your payments, exceed your income. You're like, oh, screwed.
wait a minute. This is hilarious. Let me. Okay, this right here by the chemical guys.
Yeah.
I might get this. This
So
is
what's the status of the, I guess, the car subprime, I guess bubble that popped?
Well, the other day there was an article. I think it might have been on CNBC, but they were basically talking about used car prices and going up by 20% or something like that because people don't have the credit to actually get a new car, so they're going out and getting these used cars, but they're also paying astronomical prices of what a used car should be, right? So for what they're paying for a used car, they can go get a new car, but people don't, if that level of ignorance is there, um, they go out and they buy these used cars thinking they're getting a good deal, and they're really not. And the ones who think they're getting into a new vehicle, they love the new car sentiment, like Dollar and I was just discussing, and that euphoria kicks in, and next thing you know, they make this big purchase and they can't make the payments. It's it's a toxic cycle because the banks, I mean the car manufacturers are being told to produce more vehicles, and the banks are saying we can't really finance these vehicles. Um, so these cars sit on these lots for X amount of time, and they need to be, they need to leave the lot after 6 to 9 months. And you can't have cars sitting on the lot for too long because the warranty starts to kick in, and you know it starts to run out, and now you're starting to see these fire deals. Everything must go. People go out and get these cars, and then the cycle repeats because they couldn't afford the payments in the first place. They flip, goes back to the auction. Repo man makes a nice profit, and your everyday sucker is back at home twiddling his thumbs, wondering, woe it's me.
wow.
Yeah, I think people gonna wise up. They need to. It's you don't really. I'm not. Think people need to really look at these used cars. I had a saying with some buddies of mine on my job. I my saying was top of the line back in time. Okay, buy a car top of the line, but get it back in time, a couple years old. you know, Save that money. You get your swag on a little bit, but at those top levels, those top of the line cars, people can't really tell the difference. I mean, you feel good driving a 3-year-old model with all that extra money in your pocket. So,
Yeah, I wonder what Trump's plan is going to be. I mean, Obama had the cash for clunkers. What's Trump going to do with to recover the market this time around? I mean, he's a business guy. He should know how to do something.
So Dollar Will, you mean tell me if you could afford it outright, you wouldn't get the Wraith?
oh man, that's hard. It's just hard to come out with that kind of money. That's just throwing money in the water, in the ocean. It's hard.
Dollar Will likes to move up linearly in his progress. He went from a Honda Accord to a TL. The next evolution behind the TL would be like a TSX or a TLX, one of those two models. So he moves up gradually.
Dollar will not be getting a new car until he is financially independent. My personal goal, is to reach the $4 million mark. I will reach $4 million before I get a new car. I'm nowhere near four. I'm nowhere near a millionaire either. But I'm just saying that to let you know just how little I am, controlled by desire to have a car. Just that much money. I can't do that. I can't see that right now.
Well, hopefully your fantasy picks and your DraftKings turns out to be positive.
And stop betting
Well,
the
I tell you
Cowboys.
what, if you start seeing gold tank like I'm saying, then I'm doing all right.
Anything else you want to add, anti-gravity, before we go off?
No, that's it.
All right. Anybody else?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in today for Economics Friday. We have a special show for you all tomorrow. We doing geopolitics tomorrow to make up for the time Wednesday. Same time, same channel. So don't forget to come in tomorrow. We talking about geopolitics on a Saturday. So with that said, thank you all for tuning in for another great show of the Black Brain Trust, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.